There are opportunities for you to head up the hill this weekend. It's an opportunity for us to help raise more funds for charity, which is what we're all about here. The charity continues to raise hopefully for local charities in the area. So if you want to ride the hill charity, you can do so by supporting That's good enough for me. So, much like the V12 engines we saw in the Jaguars of old, the Series 3 E-Type, for example, in the later exchange, we've actually gone and put one in this Pullman. Very low slung at the back. You'll notice there is some vegetation hanging out of the exhaust pipe. Let's see if that lasts to the top of the hill. Definitely representing the first of our resto mods here on the hill. Let's have a little chat with the HRG owner down here. It's the flag just back up. Hello. Tell us all about your HRG then. What are we looking at?
We're looking at a 1961 truck my grandmother was standing on the road with Gibraltar. It's European race champion. And it's last race my grandfather forgot it was the Alpine Road.
Fantastic. It's an amazing period, wasn't it? The sort of 50s and 60s for female drivers in motorsport.
They were fabulous. They were really good.
You have to be pretty hardy of any gender to take on some of those rallies. So, brilliant. What a lovely family story then of this HRG. Raced by the lady's grandmother who raced alongside Sheila Van Dam, who I mentioned when talking about the Sunbeam Alpine that went up earlier on this. So, one of the flying lorries, as they were affectionately known in the day, the Big Bentley of the 1920s, first one at Le Mans in 1923, I believe, wasn't it? I think over-engineered was the way that W.O. Bentley went about it, which is fair to say, isn't it? Absolutely. I think this is the closest automotively you will ever get to the experience of flying a Spitfire. Let's get off the start line. Big Bentley then. That one from 1924 heading up the hill. And now, slightly more genteel and slightly more later in history, we've jumped 30 years into the future with the MGTD. The T-Series actually started with the TA way back in 1935, celebrating their anniversary this year. But this was how they looked in the 1950s. Built in Abingdon, the TD, that car was the car that was used to streamline for the MGA that we did the anniversary presentation on earlier this morning. This though, the Daimler, we call it the Dart, but I'll get sued if we call it the Dart because it's the SP250 really, because Daimler wanted to call it the Dart, but there was already an American car that had that name, so they couldn't. This though, a lovely 2.5 litre V8 in front of them.
It is, and we do call it the Dart, and this was an American exporter. It was sold in New York.
Lovely. You had to be pretty cool to be driving a Daimler Dart around New York in the 1950s. Lovely. They shared lots of other parts with Triumphs actually, especially the TR3 gearbox. Some of the dash parts come from the 1950s Triumph. Now though, Dan's back with you with the motorbikes.
So we have an extra Brap SS 100 on the start line. The gentleman couldn't get it started, but she's running now. Tell us about her.
Yeah, no problem at all. The 929 FS 100 that came from a gentleman called Archie Banks, who is well known in the business motorcycle in the world. What do you think? You left me the bike and over the mine it.
Margaret, so I'm glad you got to start. I'd love to see her here. They were, of course, known as the Rolls Royce of motorcycles.
Wait, that's it. That was the pre-war triumph, now the Gloria, given its very sexy name of Glorious Southern Cross. What you might be racing into or racing around when you own one. An exotic name for what was really quite an exotically priced car for the 1930s, and ultimately that's why Triumph wouldn't last. Not only did they have severe bankruptcy issues at the end of the 1930s, but then the factory in Coventry was bombed to the ground, and the name was sold to a scrap dealer in Sheffield, believe it or not, before it was rescued by Sir John Black of the Standard Motor Company. That though, from the Donald Healy era, when he was chief development engineer at Triumph, the now on the line with the full family in tow, it looks like, heading up the hill there. Something told us 90, I think that is, heading up a very comfy but sporty car. Now this AC, beautiful curves, of course. They went over to America and made it vary, but this is how it all began before the Americans got hold of it, isn't it?
Absolutely right, yeah. On the first one was the 80s. Yeah, pretty fun.
And a very rare car to see, and great privilege to see it here at Kop Hill. How long have you had it? Lovely. It's just a stunning piece of British motoring history that hasn't been overshadowed by the big blue and white chip thing.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, no, it's very fun, very fun.
Lovely. 88 then on the start line. Of course, went over to the hands of Carol Shelby, turning to the 80s Cobra.
Not fine.
Back with Jaguar now, following their victory in 1950 work out. Blake Sterling Moss, that was, and they were back in 1950. Duncan Hamilton and Tony Roll taking honours at Le Mans that year, and also having great success in all sorts of the races across the world as well. It was the start of